wako na mbinu ya kupenya na kuja kuchukua pesa hapa chini.
Ijumaa hii inayokuja tunapeleka kesi kotini kushtaki kampuni hizi.
Kilifi graft. Raila rushes to Kingi's defense as ODM takes on the deputy president.
Mr. Odinga said that he does not want to hear anything about preliminary audit reports.
Duale calls Raila a fake anti-corruption crusader and alleges massive corruption in ODM strongholds.
Ni kama kitu yenye inatembea kwa mwili. Juu nisikia tu mpaka kwa miguu.
Death hanging over our houses. Expose on illegal power connections in Nairobi. And meet the hyena of Malawi. Man jailed for deliberately spreading HIV to 100 girls.
Hello and a very warm welcome to KTN Prime, wherever it is you're watching us from tonight here in Kenya, around Africa and beyond. We are delighted you could make time to be with us this evening. My name is Sophia Wanuna. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Meresha Owiti. Our top story. Now, as the National Assembly's Majority Leader Aden Duale unleashed a scathing attack on the opposition leader Raila Odinga over alleged corruption in opposition strongholds, the court leader Raila Odinga put up a spirited defense of the Kilifi Governor Amason Kingi. Raila blames the national government, saying most of the companies involved in the questionable Kilifi tendering processes are from Nairobi. Our reporter Francis Mtalaki tells us more.
Karibu.
Just 3 days after the Deputy President William Ruto toured the coast region, Court Principal Raila Odinga and his brigade came out guns blazing on corruption allegations leveled against Kilifi Governor Amason Kingi.
Wale ambao wamehusika si watu wa hapa peke yake, lakini makampuni ni kule Nairobi, sio? Jamaa wako na mbinu ya kupenya na kuja kuchukua pesa hapa chini. Na ni wale. Uwezi ni wale. Kwa hiyo wembe ni ule, sio?
Kadri uchunguzi unafanyika, serikali ya kaunti Ijumaa hii inayokuja tunapeleka kesi kotini kushtaki kampuni hizi ili ziregeshe pesa ya watu wa Kilifi.
But Mombasa Governor Ali Hassan Joho did not take kindly the Deputy President attack on the opposition leadership.
Sisi sio wale viongozi wa zamani, hasa katika jimbo hili la Pwani, wale ambaye wanaambiwanga na wahenga ati ukichengwa tulia. Wengine wanasema mwenye nguvu sio sisi. Sisi ukileta nguvu zako tutastedi na wewe, my friend. William Ruto alikuwa tononoka akasema governor wa Mombasa is an academic dwarf. Mimi nakwambia wewe tukupatia academic giant.
Kwa hivyo hii dhuluma ya kihistoria imeandikwa katika ripoti ya tume inaitwa Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission report. Hiyo ndio ikitekelezwa wapwani wataweza kupata haki yao. Lakini hiyo haijafanyika mpaka wa leo. Hawajafanya na hawatafanya.
Joho also dug out on the proposal by the Jubilee government to construct a dry port at Naivasha.
Mimi nitasimama na nitumie mbinu zote za kisheria, za kisiasa. Sikubali kamwe kuona utendakazi wa bandari ya Mombasa unahamishwa upeleke Eldoret. Hiyo sitaki na nitapinga usubuhi, mchana, usiku, time yoyote. Haiwezekani. Na waangalia baina tofauti yangu na ya William Ruto. Yeye anasema sisi ni academic dwarfs, yeye ni academic giant. Lakini kama kweli yeye, mbona ameuza watu wake, chama chake, akapeleka kwa mshirika wake Uhuru Kenyatta? Mbona yeye kama ni mwerevu na yeye ni mjanja sana na amesoma sana, mbona standard gauge railway imepelekwa Naivasha na sio Eldoret?
It was meant to be an occasion where residents of Kaloleni were supposed to get relief food on behalf of the county government, but it turned out to be a political battle between the government and the opposition. Well, with the politics of maize and beans pan out as we head to the 2017 polls. Francis Mtalaki, KTN News, Kaloleni, Kilifi County.
And even as Raila addressed supporters in Kilifi County, the National Assembly Majority Leader Aden Duale accused him of applying double standards in the war on corruption. Duale claims there is massive corruption going on in opposition strongholds, which is being ignored by the so-called anti-corruption crusaders. But ODM Deputy Party Leader Wycliffe Oparanya termed Duale's utterances as mere propaganda.
Jubilee lawmakers, led by Majority Leader in the National Assembly, launched a scathing attack on Opposition Leader Raila Odinga for allegedly being in bed with governors in court zones who are facing serious audit queries.
Raila Odinga must speak emphatically about the corruption facing Mombasa County, where there are 22 fictitious accounts. He must face and tell us emphatically his position about the 1.4 billion loss in Kilifi County. Those are his greatest defenders. He must emphatically tell us about the 3.2 billion loss in Nairobi County. And so, if you read the audit report, Migori, Siaya, Kakamega.
Duale says Raila's attack on Uhuru administration over graft is unfair.
We are legislators. We don't work in the executive. We don't work for EACC. We don't work for DPP. We don't work for the Auditor General. We are legislators. And in fact, we are saying, if you are our governor and you are involved in graft, you should not even vie in our party. We will go that route as Jubilee.
Duale also took a swipe at the Council of Governors for calling on the suspension of the Integrated Financial Management Information System, IFMIS.
We saw governors under the leadership of the chairman of the governors, Peter Munya, claiming that the problem is IFMIS. Who has the password? It's your staff. It's your confidence. Kenyans who live in those counties don't have passwords. They even don't know how to manage the IFMIS system.
The latest audit report for 2014-2015 financial year shows county governments have misappropriated billions of shillings, some paid to ghost workers and phony suppliers. Patrick Amimo, KTN News.
The Big Q in association with DSTV.
And so tonight we'd like to hear whether you support Duale's claim that Raila is covering up corruption involving court governors. Do you support Duale's claim that Raila is covering up graft in court strongholds? You can get in touch with us on Twitter at KTN News, at KTN Kenya, at Sophia Wanuna, or send in a message 22155. I will read some of them in this live broadcast.
That's how we can give people the best content with more sports. As if you have pulled it out of my mouth. Out of my mouth. It's like you are reading my mind. It's wonderful. Oh yeah, it's business unusual. My ninjas. Hey, hey.
Now, the hearing in the dispute over the 2.5 billion shillings ballot printing tender began today, with the opposition CORD and the ruling Jubilee Party asking to be enjoined in the case. As KTN's Rita Tenina now reports, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission has opposed the move, arguing it will only drag the hearing of the matter.
With the fate of the 2.5 billion shilling ballot paper printing tender hanging in the balance, the Public Procurement Administrative Review Board got down to hearing from the parties in the tender round. The IEBC awarded the tender to Dubai-based company Al Ghurair. But Pearl Media of South Africa raised questions over the tendering process, even as the IEBC insisted that the process, which attracted 9 bidders, was above board. But before the board could begin hearing arguments from Pearl Media and the IEBC, CORD, through lawyer James Orengo, and Jubilee, represented by Hilary Sigei, made applications to be enjoined in the matter as interested parties. It was one of those rare occasions that CORD and Jubilee were agreed on one issue.
What is desired to be procured in this process may not meet the new criteria and provisions under the Election Laws Amendment Act.
We are submitting that that public interest will highly be served by allowing the second proposed interested party to be part of the proceedings.
CORD and Jubilee argue that they have a huge stake in the electoral process, including preparations in the run-up to the election. But the IEBC says they have no basis to be enjoined in the matter.
These are called red herrings, which are being brought into a procurement tussle between a procuring entity and tenderers or candidates for that process.
The IEBC argues that enjoining CORD and Jubilee will only drag the matter.
They will serve the purpose of elongating the application before you. They will engage you on matters that do not necessarily have any relevance to what is before you.
CORD and Jubilee argue, among other things, that the tendering process is being carried out without a proper commission in place at the IEBC.
The Electoral Commission now is more driven by the CEO instead of the commission, to which I said we have an insurance policy in the commission.
By the mere fact that they wanted to enjoin in these proceedings, it confirms that indeed the IEBC does exist. It's properly established in law.
The IEBC told the board that claims that the coming election may not be free and fair are baseless.
What is it that is before you that shows that the IEBC is going to conduct elections which are not free and fair?
A decision on whether or not to enjoin CORD and Jubilee in the matter as interested parties will be made on Thursday. Rita Tinina, KTN News.
Now, thousands of city residents in informal settlements and those living in the eastern parts of Nairobi are living dangerously. Thousands have erected structures under power lines carrying enough power to flatten a slum and cause unseen destruction of lives and property. So who is behind the illegal building of structures? Well, KTN's Dennis Onsarigo has been doing the digging for us.
A toddler is scaling a power transmission line along Kangundu Road, oblivious of the great danger. Unknown to the youngster, 66 kilowatts of power is being hoisted high by the transmission mast from the Kenya Power Utility Plant in Juja. Kilometers away in the heart of Kibera slums, it is not a story of a near miss, but a story with a tragic ending. 3 months ago, Alice Okwako's sister fell victim to an all too familiar incident that seems to be dogging residents of the Populars informal settlement.
Alitoka tu shule vizuri. Akakuja akapata baba yangu pia akapata mama yangu. Mama mwingine huko nyuma akatoka kuambia kusema unakaa hapo na kuna mtoto anapigwa na stima.
The sister, 14 years old, Melissa Onyango Okwako, had slipped into a trench, trying to pull herself out of the mud. She held on to an iron sheet. She was electrocuted.
Wakaanza kuangalia na hivyo akisema hapana, anatoa maziwa saa ya pili, anatoa kwa povu na kwa mdomo. Alafu ndo mama mwingine akakuja akasema atuye amekufa, walete leso amfunike.
Melissa became one of the youngest victims of illegal power connections in the heart of the slum. The illegal connections here compete with the erection of television aerials that dot the skyline here. But there is a more pressing problem. When you take off in an helicopter and head east of Nairobi into Mathare slums, the scale of danger occasioned by illegal structures under power lines pans out under the gushing wind that a chopper ride navigates through. From the skies and to an ordinary eye, the power lines running through the slums are just that, power lines. It takes an expert to paint for you a picture of what kind of power the transmission lines carry above and across houses in the slum.
The moment you fly on top of Nairobi, you'll understand the kind of danger residents here are subjected to because of the power lines. The encroachment here is out of this world. You'll understand that an engineer aboard this flight tells me that 66,000 kilowatts of power is what residents of Madare areas of Kangundo Road are subjected to every single day.
Indeed, the danger of a power line falling off and landing on the iron sheets that make up 90% of the housing structures here can be compared to the oil spillage in 2011 in the Sinai slum in the city. Petrol fumes cutting through the polluted air in the slum resulted in a fierce fire that wiped from the face of the earth 100 people in a matter of seconds. Kenya power engineers tell KTN News the destruction, this real and present danger, will be more.
In the event that one of those lines, for example, the conductor cuts, and for some reason it ignites fire, and if you consider that the houses are so close together, definitely you will see a whole slum wiped out, and the neighboring estates will also, of course, be affected. Yeah, so it is real danger, real danger.
Electricity is definitely very hazardous if somebody has actually put their house under the way leaf. It is not just the electromagnetic waves that are conducted around the way leaves, but the risk of fire.
Most housing structures in the major slums in the city are built close to each other and have the best conductor of electricity, iron sheets. If power was to travel through the structures, the effect will be instant, and in a matter of seconds, fires will erupt, making rescue operations impossible and the destruction of lives and property massive. It has become virtually impossible for the power utility company to gain access into the slums and other middle-income areas to service the lines.
We have seen two lines now from Njunja to Nairobi West. They are passing through Madare and the other side of Dandora slums and Mukuru Kwajenga. So basically, those are the main lines which are affected by that encroachment. The 66 kV network. And they carry very high voltage, yes. 66 kilovolts. And they are the main supply lines for Nairobi city. Yeah.
So in the event they break down, then we have a problem.
We will be having a big problem in terms of the time it will take to restore supplies. And of course, if you look at it economically, there is a lot of economic loss.
Actually have an impact on the manufacturing sector because it leads into our members having to invest in generators and operate on them for critical processes when the power is unreliable. The other challenge is the fact that in the middle of a production process, if there's a dip in power, it affects that production process and actually leads to the loss of materials or the loss of equipment. So it is actually a big concern for manufacturers.
But just how did the situation get here?
We had so many things that were going wrong. Construction is just one of them. The same way we had people building on the road reserves, the same way we had people building, as you're saying, under the power way lifts. The same way you see us driving on the roads, overtaking on yellow lines, jumping lights. It seems we had got into such a bad culture as Kenyans in not wanting to do the right thing. And so it now manifests itself in all quarters.
KTN News has learned individuals have sold off the land to unsuspecting land buyers and leased out business premises that fall directly under the high voltage power transmission lines. For instance, along Kangundo Road is a story of many business enterprises that have now mushroomed right under the 66,000 kilowatts of power, a heavy transmission line that can flatten an entire section of Kangundo Road. Take, for instance, housing under construction meters away from the power supplier plant. The housing structure here, now on its second floor, cannot proceed. The structure is directly under a power transmission line here. Unable to divert the power lines, the owner of the building has decided to push it away. Several power lines using wood, a ticking time bomb. But encroachment on power lines is not the only problem currently facing those in need of power and those supplying the same. Dina Kola is living with a permanent scar. Dina survived an electrocution.
Nilikuwa ninafua na nikama nguo. Kumbe stima ilikuwa imeshika waya. Sasa vile nilipeleka nguo na ikanishika. Kushika nikapiga nduru. Kuna mwenye alikuwa karibu, kumbe anajua vile wanafanya. Akachukua stool akanipiga nayo. Kunipiga na stool nikaanguka. Kuanguka ikaniachilia. The same day nikaenda kwa nyumba kuanza kupika. Kumbe tena waya yenye ilikuwa kwa nyumba ilikuwa affected na yenye ilikuwa nje. Tena ikanipiga, kunipiga hivi na maji ilikuwa pia karibu ya moto ikanichoma mpaka hii mguu yote ilibambuka.
Experts are warning that if something is not done and done fast, the number of city residents in harm's way is increasing by the day.
Let's remind you our big question tonight, and we are asking, do you support Duale's claim that Raila is covering up corruption involving court governors? Do you support Duale's claim that Raila is covering up graft in court strongholds? Keep your views coming. You can SMS 22155 KTN News at KTN Kenya. Thank you for staying with us. We still have business and sports still ahead. Stay with KTN News.
Well, good evening and welcome to KTN Business. My name is Abi Agina. The Nairobi Securities Exchange has warned that its profit for 2016 will be 25% lower than in 2015 on the back of a steady decline in equity prices ahead of the election year and due to an uneven economic footing. In a cautionary statement published in the dailies, the NSE notes, and I quote, based on projections for the remainder of the year, the company is expected to record a decline of more than 25% in net profits attributable to shareholders of the company for the financial year ended December 2016 as compared to that in 2015. End of quote. Trading revenues account for over half of all revenues at the stock exchange. And now to some good news. The Kenya Women Finance Trust has emerged tops in the 2016 edition of the Deloitte Best Company to Work For survey in the large corporate segment. DHL Express Kenya emerged tops in the medium category, whereas the survey in its 5th year was launched in July 2016 and aims to identify and rate the best companies to work for based on their employees. The survey measured 10 parameters including leadership, operational inclusiveness, relationship with the manager or supervisor, development and job satisfaction, among other criteria. Ranking second in the category with more than 500 employees were East African breweries, followed by CIC Insurance. Well, that's what we had lined up for you on KTN Business, including the latest results for Family Bank, which posted a drop of 48%. But the bank remains optimistic that they'll be making a comeback moving forward. And on that note, that's how we wrap it up here on KTN Business. My name is Abi Agina, and thank you for your valued company. Coming up next is the day's sports.
And Tapu Lankanen has already been declared the champion of this year's edition, but one Ian Duncan will be trying to be as impressive as he can to win his 14th Guru Nanak title. But how easy is it going to be for the Kenyan bigwigs who will be out trying to finish the season high? The 8th and final round of the KCB Kenya National Rally Championship will be staged this weekend, and at least 43 drivers are expected to spice it during the Guru Nanak Rally. 3 Tanzanian drivers included Jurrit Thani, Rajpal Thani, and Ajminda Thani are among the regional drivers who will highlight the rally action. The anticipated rains will mean a change of tack on the volcanic ash terrain on Soisamu Conservancy and Naivasha's Aberdare Hills Golf Resort, which will play host to the designated spectators' viewing points, but the organizers remain optimistic that it will be a good outing.
As usual, I would request all spectators, pass the word around, do not drink and drive. We as a team have engaged NTSA. They will be outside the main road.
I believe you all cherished this last event. Please give it your best. Give it what it really matters.
Top Kenyans expected to star in the outing are Jasprit Chate, Karflash Tundo, powering a Ford Fiesta, Manvir Bariana, Onkarai, and Baldev Chaga. 6 times Kenya champion Ian Duncan will be going for an unprecedented 14th Guru Nanak title, wary of the challenge posed by last year's winner and this year's overall champion, Tapio Launkanen.
We'll start from KCB Naivasha. They'll go immediately to the first stage, which is at Delamere, the 19 kilometers. Thereafter, they go all the way to Delamere. They'll have a fuel, do the 2 stages, come into service. There'll be a holding.
KCB Bank is set to step down as a title sponsor to become the official banking partner for the 2017 motorsport season, making a new era for the 13th year of a successful sponsorship.
Of Parliament, Wesley Korir, to join elective politics. A native of Keyo South constituency and a former marathon world record holder, Kipsang has his eyes fixed on the 2017 parliamentary race in Keyo South constituency.
Iwapo nitachakuliwa, ningependa kusema kwamba katika constituency yangu unapata kwamba sehemu kubwa ni kwamba jambo kuu ni kuweza kuongeza mapato kwa watu, economic empowerment.
But what pushed Wilson Kipsang to join the competitive Elgeyo Marakwet politics?
Kuna wisi pengine ya pesa na manguo na nini, na ningependa tu kusema kwamba mimi kama mkimbiaji na iwapo nitachaguliwa kama mbunge, itakuwa na nafasi nzuri ya kuweza kuweka mkakati bora.
Kipsang cites many challenges that athletes face and now says if elected, he will initiate tough and innovative policies for athletes.
Unapata kwamba kwa sasa hakuna mtu anaweza saidia mkimbiaji. Kwa hivyo wakimbiaji wengi unapata kwamba wanatapeliwa sana kwa sababu wana haraka zaidi katika kila jambo ambalo wanafanya.
Kipsang now wants residents of Keyo South to come in large numbers and vote for him come 2017. Elvis Kosgei, KTN News.